Coming to you from Studio HQ, this is the second episode of Think Indie Podcast. If you joined us for episode 1, welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome, and enjoy the ride. I am Dodgy in the mixing it up with my esteemed panel of creators, Manny, Rabbit, and Tracy. Manny, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Manuel Carmona. I'm the co-founder of Truthful Comics. In my book out now, I have a Project New Wave issue number 3. I just had the copies delivered today, which I'm very excited
Oh,
about.
congrats.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm also the co-founder of Buy Indie Comics Day, which is the Indie Comics Christmas Day, I guess you can call it. You can call it that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Shout out your local comic book store.
My local comic book shop is called Zeno's Comics. Zeno's Books. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's an old school comic book shop, man. I love it.
And they got indie books.
Yeah, hell yeah. And the
They
ones that
got
don't
your
have,
book.
yeah. Oh no, they don't have my books because I only have I have print in demand. But now that I have them,
Okay.
now that I have them on print, I'm gonna. He told me to go and stop by, and so he wants to see them, and I'll probably carry them there.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rabbit, introduce yourself.
I am Paul Rabbit Gomez. I'm a brand new writer and creator. I put out 3 comics in the past 3 months. I'm putting out the 3rd one right now, including PTSD and Bushibu Circus Mysteries, and the current one is Cryptic Haze on Kickstarter. I am brand new to this, so I'm always asking people questions and trying to figure out all the answers.
Oh, that's excellent.
Oh yeah.
And shout out your local comic book store.
Man, I got so many of them. I'm going to have to say Pastime Comics in Watauga, Texas, but tomorrow I'm in Sanctuary in Irving. So I'm actually in 25 stores in DFW too. My books are. So thank you for those stores carrying me.
Hell yeah.
That is so funny. I'm not used to that where I'm located.
It's like one shop for all. One ring,
Yeah.
one shop
I
for
think there's like
everyone.
30 in the Metroplex, and 25 of them are
Shit.
actually carrying my books. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Happy
Impressive,
day.
impressive. And Tracy, you are one of the Thundercats. You missed the first episode, but for those who have meeting you for the first time, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tracy. I am from Dublin, Ireland. I am the owner, operator, founder, whatever you want to call it, of Tolman Comic Creations. I am first off a writer, second off a comic enthusiast, and I am currently a supervisor for some amazing university students who are doing a comic project at the moment that I'm helping them with this amazing anthology. So
Nice. And
and
you're
and I run a comic convention as well called
wow.
Valkyrie Comic and Craft Fair in Dublin.
Ooh.
Impressive. And tell us
And
about
there's my
Freya.
baby. Oh, I love her. Freya was a story that I had in my head forever. And a very good friend of mine put a fire under my butt and made me write stories. And this is what came out. The artist that I was working with, I actually met at a comic convention, and she was only 16 at the time.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. And this was her first outing as a artist and mine as a writer. I loved it. Everything about it made me happy. Even the mistakes that were in it. As a first draft comic, I should have paid I'll say this to everybody: pay for a proofreader. Just do it.
Right.
It will be worth its weight in gold.
Wow.
That's true.
Oh, seriously, there was so many little, small, tiny little nuances that could have been changed, that neither of us noticed, and the person I had asked to look over hadn't noticed. Like the Gmail on the back page, where my email at the time was, had 2 eyes.
Right.
But she's half fairy, half human, and she's basically the intermediary in the world of mystery and fairy. And it was this anthology that I had wanted to run. But unfortunately, my beautiful artist decided to go to college, and now she's a storyboard artist, and it's very hard to get her to do issue 2 and 3.
Yeah.
This is
And
my
tell us about your work on Rubinet.
oh, Ruby, 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 the wonderful,
That was cool.
amazing animatic Gar Cremona
Oh,
was my wonderful friend. He
mm,
was the most sarcastic, wonderfully stubborn writer I've ever met in my entire life. And I met him at a local comic fair, and we were chatting.
mhm,
And then it turned out he lived about 100 yards away from where I lived all our lives, and uh, we just became really good friends. And he kept saying to me, "You read enough comics, you read enough books. You should be writing your stories down." And I'm like,
mhm.
"No, I'm dyslexic. I'm not a writer." And he went, "Stuff that rubbish," and asked me to write about one of his characters. And one of the characters in the Ruben Eden book, from the universe of the Celtic Knights, is a woman called Iron Ma, and she is basically the mammy of one of the superheroes, and she's a little old lady. So I wrote a
Uh-huh.
comic. I wrote like a 6-page comic about her and her friends in the bingo not getting the sandwiches they wanted, and basically the Welsh had stole all the corned beef, and it wasn't getting to Ireland, and she had to go and stop that. And I sent it to him. I swear, I sent it to him, and he didn't call me back for a few days. And I was like, oh my God,
Oh
he
no.
absolutely hates it. And he's just going to not want to talk to me anymore. He's going to blank me because I'm this silly, silly person. And then he rang me and was like, oh, I've just sent it to the artist. It's going to be in the next book, which is the Ruby book, Sword of the Warlock. So that was my very
Wow.
first publication.
And the rest
So
is history.
yeah, indeed. So
Mhm.
he assigned you with an artist, did he?
Yeah, we knew the artist was another friend of ours at the time. He was somebody that we
Oh
worked with
wow.
Oh.
within the comic. There was a little pool of us at the time, where there was a couple of writers, a couple of artists, and we all tried to help each other out. And
Hmm.
that's how I got with this particular book. It was actually that's how I met my illustrator then for Freya. Was I was helping the artist of this book sell some of his own stuff at a convention, because I hadn't written that at that stage, but I'm a very good saleswoman. So the boys used to bring me with them, and I would sell their stuff and get free comics and art and stuff.
Amazing.
It was great. Um, so it was just this wonderful melting pot of people, and you made some good friends, you made some not so good friends, you learned some things, and you move forward. And, you know, 4 or 5 years later, here I am, 2 conventions under my belt, 3 books, well, 3 comic books. I've helped write a book with a girl who is autistic, dyspraxic, dyslexic, and she had a really, really successful book, which the Autism Ireland came aboard with. The University of Cork actually held the launch party for it, and we had the
Crazy.
Lord Mayor. It was, it's offered me so many great experiences, all because of this book and an old lady who couldn't get her corned beef.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How dare
Yeah,
they?
how very
And shout
dare
out your
they?
local comic book store as well, Tracy.
Okay, well, I would have 3 local comic book stores. So there's Dublin City Comics on Capel Street in Dublin. The guys in there are wonderful. They also do toys, vintage toys, all that. Then
Ooh,
there is Sub City on Mary Street and on Dame Street, and then there is all the lovely friends that I have in Forbidden Planet on the Quays in the centre of Dublin.
you guys have
I
Forbidden
love you
Planet as
guys.
well. Amazing.
Well, I have to try it there because, like, there's so again a lot of creatives and artists and comic book writers I know are
Mm.
in there, and they're an extremely good group to get your independent comics into. So all 3 of those do have independent comic sections. So
Fantastic. That's
yeah,
amazing. Well, I
that's me.
mean, Yeah, that's one heck of a story, Tracy. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Going to move on to my creative question for the episode. So we're going to cover like all sorts of questions that some creators might have. And I mean, if anyone's watching or listening to our podcast, please throw some questions at our creators and see what answers we could obtain. So this question for the week is: did you ever feel like giving up? And if so, what kept you going? I want to start with you, Rabbit. Have you ever thought like this?
There's been several roadblocks in my journey. Definitely. I started out with Bushibu Circus, and that was my first script that I wrote. Sent it to artists, and it was 32 pages, which I didn't know back then. I should start small, which
Right.
32 pages was a lot to get through. But
Yeah.
I had a few interior artists kind of drop out, and that kind of crushed it. But
Right.
instead, what I did was decide to double down, and I got PTSD that came out first, and then Bushibu
Mm.
came out right after that because of those interior artists that got on there at the third time, picked up the
Mhm.
pace. But yeah, man, it's a really tough road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. And you, Manny?
Um, no, I did not ever think of quitting. First of all, I'm very stubborn, so but so I will not quit. I refuse to. But
Okay.
the way I see it is like making comic books. If even if I wasn't making a comic book, and even if I wasn't selling a single issue, I would still be drawing. So it's almost like I don't see it as it's a lot of work, but I don't see it as work. It's like I can't help it. I thank God that I have this arm hurt, the left one, because if I would have had my right hand hurt, I would hang myself. Man. Seriously,
Oh,
I have to draw. It's just in me. I have to draw. So no, quitting. There's times that you get so frustrated. You're like, man, should I keep going? But no, I don't even. I'm too stubborn to quit.
How about you, Tracy?
oh, at least once every time I pick up a pen. um, I, I would, but I don't. Um,
Right.
but I do understand the feeling for creatives who get very stuck or sometimes just overwhelmed because I
Right,
know after Gar passed away, I couldn't write, and
Yeah.
right,
I took over a year off from doing any creative things because it wasn't time for me to do it.
right,
And then
right,
Mhm.
when things came back to me, that's what kept me going. Then was getting back to it, knowing that I was going to continue on, you know, and because I want to be a platform, not only just a writer, not only just producing stuff, but being able to offer a safe space and community for others. That's what
Mhm.
keeps me going, you know.
right.
Yeah.
Like it was World Book Day the other day, and every time World Book Day comes around, I smile because the first year that I sold Freya comics, there was this one girl, and she was absolutely mad about it, and she would make her father follow me around to every convention I did in the country, waiting for issue 2. And then on World Book Day, I get a picture from her dad of her dressed as Freya. So
Oh.
I
That's
know
dope.
I don't care if I never sell another book in my life. That's what I do it for. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're the things that as an artist, they're the moments.
right.
Because there's
Yeah.
going to be loads of other ones that are going to
Wow.
crush you, but they're the ones that keep you going.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
How about you, Dodgy? What about you? What's your driving force?
I think it's just it can be difficult because I do procrastinate a lot, and I think for me, just keeping myself busy because I could just sit there and watch the TV for the whole 12 hours
Yeah,
and not and do jack all. So the way I do it, I just keep myself preoccupied. I have alarms on my phone, and
Mm.
kind of like the alarms will actually warn me of what the time is. So I
right.
use that as a drive, just to be creative because that's the thing. I create notes for the show, I create the
Mhm.
concepts, and to keep myself busy, just to make sure, like before I go to bed tonight, have I got all the pages ready for the show's layout? If I
Right.
don't have that, then I feel miserable, and I don't want to feel miserable. So
Right.
I kind of self punish myself in that way, and yeah, and also depression is a major thing as well. I do suffer from depression at times. So again, doing shows like this, seeing Manny's smiling face, it keeps me happy and makes me want to do the show.
Oh, I'm glad.
You know what I mean? No,
That's
but it's
awesome.
true, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
We got to keep positive. We got to keep smiling, and
Yeah.
yeah, and keep
No
going.
doubt.
All right, and we're going to be moving on. So the next part of the show is one that we've really enjoyed. I think our first episode, and episode 2, we have another webtoon, and this webtoon is called "Those Who Sleep" by Kelley Harris. Manny, you chose this book, and I'd like to
Yep.
know why and why you think this book is amazing.
Well, I chose it because I love it. But I met the creator. I met Kelley.
Oh, really?
She's from here, from Norfolk. And I met her at a convention. And yeah, man, I started talking. She seemed very shy, but I guess when you first meet somebody for the first time, you kind of
Mhm.
testing how is he, how is she, whatever. But
Well,
she's super sweet, super humble, and yeah, she told me about her book. I searched webtoons and I got hooked, man. Um, I'm all into vampires and stuff like that, and that's basically the theme of the story. And it's Dracula like I haven't seen before, so
yeah.
Mhm.
it got me hooked from the first page, man. The artwork is as good as you're gonna see in any comic book. Um,
Yeah.
and it just keeps getting better, man. I seen the, the new artwork, and I'm like, Jesus, man, she's super talented.
Yeah, and the thing that impressed me with the art style, Manny, I want to hear your input as well, is the fact that she goes from like some simple images, like you see the image of the dude with the blonde hair, he's got
Yeah,
no nose, he's just very, very simple, and then the next panel, he's like really articulated and detailed.
yeah. I think it's a lot of manga influenced. She has a lot of
Yeah.
manga influence, and they can go from extreme cartooning to super extra detail. Um,
Yeah,
so I think that she has the influence from that. But yeah, she can go as detailed as, man. There's some pages that I'm like, I gotta step it up.
yeah. And how about
Yeah.
you, Rabbit? What did you think of this book?
I thought it was very cute. Of course, we read. I think it was from chapter 1 to 5, and
Hmm.
was it me? Was chapter 1 so much longer than the rest?
Yeah.
It
Yeah, it
it
was
Yeah,
it,
it
it
was.
did
pilot
feel like it
episode.
pulled you in real nice and comfortable, and then in the chapters after that kind of told those nice short stories. So I liked it. It was very cute.
And how about you, Tracy?
I loved it. Oh my God. I got sucked right in. As in, I
Hmm.
spent an entire day in bed reading up because there's like there's 2 years of content. This is what we have to
Mm.
remember as well on this
Yeah,
webtoon.
for sure.
He started
Right.
this comic 2 years ago. So if you look at the art style in these first 5 issues, amazing. And Dracula is just stunning. Like he's so handsome. I've totally got one of those, fangirl crushy things. But if you look at her newer stuff is just so on point of what is happening now that I couldn't not
Hmm.
keep reading. So I just had
Right.
to. But the art style is lovely. Like look at that page. Look at the difference in the
Yeah,
color palettes that
and
she's
the
using,
backgrounds too,
and
very
and then
shiny.
the
Right.
beautiful use of lettering. Like she's just gone really simple, but really well placed because the panels aren't too small. There's not too much in it. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, look at those eyes, man. How can you not love them? I do. I
They're
love.
so
I
red
love.
and piercing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right into my soul.
Right into my soul.
Yeah, yeah, right into your
Yeah,
soul and wants to know how good you taste.
telling you, Say nothing.
No, I honestly thought it was a very. I kind of liked Willa. I thought she was loads of fun. Kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of Sailor Moon, little fangirl type. She just
yeah,
jumps
Yeah.
around and she yeah. And how Drac is just the polar opposite. He's more the stern
Yeah.
father figure.
right.
Can't really tell if they actually have like a relationship or not. Well, what the relationship looks like. It's very like
Unclear.
from what yeah, unclear. It's very unclear. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun to read. Definitely not for kids. It has a little disclaimer in the beginning, which I
Right.
find good that we know because based on some of these pages, it looks very kiddish, and then we see pages where there's like very very graphic. And
Yeah.
but look at this image here with the red, the use of the red. I think that's
The
amazing.
highlights. Whew.
Oh yeah,
Man.
Because it is coming out after that. That hand is going to grab you.
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought when I
Very
was reading it, it had a small vibe for me. Have any of you ever watched the anime Hellsing,
Oh yeah.
which is
Oh,
another
I know of it.
classic?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're missing out. You need to watch it.
Yeah.
Right,
It's good.
really?
Really good.
It had that kind of vibe, with
Right.
the little girl with the gun who ends up in it becomes the other vampire and is his little like housemate. I think it kind of had that vibe to it, but in a more neutral tone. It wasn't that huge anime in your face, crazy, pop girl, whatever way they want to be. But it was lovely, drawn really well.
Mm.
Disclaimer. Disclaimer.
Yeah.
That little girl, the cartoon. That's Kelley.
I
That's
thought
that's,
so. I had a
that's how she
feeling that was
looks.
the case.
Yeah, she looks just like that in real life. She's cute. Yeah.
And she's
No,
such
I
a
love
sweetheart
that.
because
That's so cool.
I posted up that I was really enjoying her book, and then she messaged me privately thanking me for reading her
Oh
book,
wow!
and I'm like, oh
That's
my God,
awesome.
she's such
Yeah,
a sweetheart.
and
Just
this
such
is
a nice
why
thing.
we love creators. You know what I mean? If they can come back and appreciate your feedback, it's the best reward as a fan. It is the best reward ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's connection. It's making that
Exactly,
community.
Yep.
Completely making that
100%.
community.
All right,
Yeah.
now we're going to move on to the book review. And this
Mhm.
book that we're going to review is called Megatomic Battle Rabbit. Not you, Rabbit. This is a different rabbit.
I was upset when it didn't have Rabbit's face on it. That's what I thought it was
Yeah,
going to be.
same. Come on, Manny. You make that into a T-shirt.
Well, whenever I first heard the
Man.
title, first heard the title, I thought it was Manny against Rabbit, but it was Megaton. I was like, oh,
No, that was
Dun,
last
dun,
week's
dun.
episode. That was episode
Alright.
1.
Man,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's written by Stu Perrin with art by Israel Huertas and
Yep.
edited by Dan Rushton. I'll start with you, Rabbit. What did you think of Megatomic Battle Rabbit?
I liked it. It was a very good intro to the story. I mean, the entire book was really good, where it was introducing everybody and what was going on. I loved the way the story flowed and just how it kind of presented itself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, Tracy? What did you think of Megatomic Battle Rabbit?
It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I had do you remember what was that cartoon in the 80s, 90s with the bunny from outer space? Was it
Oh, is that Bucky O'Hare?
Yeah, Bucky
Bucky
Bug
O'Hare.
your hair. Yeah.
It had that kind of vibes. My favorite thing was, I don't know if you have that panel there, is when his little droid friend is telling him what humanity is like. And it's like they eat all these bad foods for them and
Oh,
like
yes.
animals, and then they drink these things that makes them fight, and then it's not good for
This page here.
This is genius. This
Yeah.
page right here is genius. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you explain the human race?
Right?
yeah. Yeah.
It's true. It's actually
Any
very, very
alien that's coming,
true.
this should be a disclaimer put on everything that's sent into space from now
Oh
on.
God, yeah. That's
Before
so
you
funny.
invade Earth, this is what
Yeah.
you're getting.
Yeah, don't bother invading Earth. We'll kill each other eventually.
Yeah. That's
But
funny.
yeah, it was, and even this page, you know what I mean, with that blue tone, a lot of people wouldn't enjoy looking at that. but I just thought it was so. It just pulled me right in because it was like when you see an artist who just does his sketch pages to start with,
Mm.
and then you have this really highly stylized centerpiece with the droid's face talking. Um,
Hmm.
and then like I just love the kid, like, and he just comes out and he like your man, he's like, here's your, give me your paw, and he's looking at this big giant rabbit and being like, sup, you know. I was like,
Yeah.
Have I seen you somewhere?
yeah. Oh, but then
Must have
again,
seen you on TV or in a
us
comic book.
nerds aren't really that put out by things like that. You know what I mean? If something strange
Yeah.
like that came up to us, we'd be like, hold on while we draw you or write something down about you so we can put you in our next book. So yeah, but I enjoyed it. It was really, really
Let me write your
interesting.
biography.
Yeah.
I'll get my friends to draw you like a very nice French lady.
All right, Manny, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the art style in Megatomic Battle Rabbit?
I think the artwork works perfectly for the type of story that it has. It's simple, it's clean. Um, Honestly, it would have worked just as good if it was black and white. The interior art,
Mhm.
because it reminds me a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even Megaton Man,
Mhm. Yeah.
Savage Dragon, that type of story. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I like his costume, the character design, and there was a few laugh out loud for me, laugh out loud moments, like the little uh, robotic companion. He calls him
Yeah.
Dave, and then they explain his digital advanced visual equipment. And I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me, man?"
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, "Come on, man." So yeah, there's a bunch of cool moments like that. Yeah, I think it's a perfect all ages book. And anybody can enjoy it, obviously. But
Yeah, I was
I really
thinking
dug
that
it.
too.
I really dug it, and I was looking around after I finished the story. I was looking, and they have a few other all ages books, and I believe the the publisher is called Spark Books, I believe,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
First Park.
and yeah, First Spark, and they that's I think that's all they publish. It's all ages books, and
Nice.
they're yeah. So and they have a few that look really really good. So I might be checking them out for the boys, for my boys.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
Um,
always
I think that'll
fantastic
be
to get
good.
one that you can have for your kids. You know what I mean? My nephew's in the States, and my niece, not my niece, not so much now because she's a cranky teenager, but the boys love comics, and so I send them over them. You know what I mean? I like to keep sharing the nerd, you know, and it's
yeah,
so nice to be able to say, yeah, I can pick that up and. Like, because one of my nephews is big into space at the moment, and you know, I got him a
Mhm.
space thing, an astronaut that like beams the stars onto his ceiling for Christmas. This would be totally down his alley. And he's
right.
9. But the 6-year-old would love it too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And male and female, it's not just, designed for like a one-shot kind of person. So,
Yeah.
and there's, as Manny said, that the artwork is so clean. It's just
yeah,
really
And it
sharp
was
and
such a
clean.
solid intro to everybody. I mean,
Mhm.
a lot of books
Mhm.
don't do that. They jump into the stories where the action and all that stuff is and forget to
right.
introduce you to the characters. This is
Yeah.
what this one does.
And
Yeah, definitely.
and an important thing is that a lot of people take it for granted, but the kids actually look like kids, and the adults look like adults. I've seen like professional artists work for Marvel and stuff, and they cannot draw kids.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
They look like midgets. And they're like little people, and they're not supposed to be little people. They're supposed to be kids, and you're like, this looks off.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
in this story, the kids actually look like kids, and I'm like, yeah, I really, yeah, I like this. I like this.
And they're dressed like kids as well.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
true,
right,
You
true,
know what I
right.
true,
mean? Like the
true.
bedroom is like a kid's bedroom. It's,
I love that
him and his
bedroom.
mate's conversation. Yeah, I know. I want that bedroom. I want the telescope. I want all of it.
Right.
But
And
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
that's
Manny, go
good.
ahead.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even the interaction between him and his friend, the two characters in it, like the two young boys, it was so innocent and nice, and
Mm.
you could see again, if you have your own kids or nephews or nieces, they're the kind of conversations they'd be having. Trying to
Yeah,
sneak out and see the stars. It's amazing.
that's actually what I was gonna talk about. The mischievous. Come on, let's go find out. And I'm like, that's something I used to do when I was a kid. Oh, there's something wrong in this neighborhood. Let's go find out. Let's get the bikes. And
Yeah.
instead of just staying away, yeah, I'm like, yeah,
You're gonna see
this is
what's
exactly
wrong
how
with
we
it.
do. Yeah, it's true. It's funny.
Nice. Yeah, I think and this scene here actually reminds me of E.T. when he like checks out what's
Yeah.
happening in the room in the back of the the backyard. I love that.
In the shed.
The shed,
Mhm.
yeah.
But I love it as
Yeah.
well. Give me your paw. You know what I mean? It's like, it's
Yeah.
brilliant. This
And
kid is
and
not phased.
and his paws and his feet are like the Ninja Turtles. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the hand has three fingers and the foot has two toes.
So,
So
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay, I see it.
Yeah. I just wonder when he turns around, does he have a fluffy tail?
yeah.
Right.
I wonder.
They're not gonna show it. Maybe in
But
the
don't mess with
uncensored,
my tail.
This is a
maybe in
question.
the uncensored version.
Look, these are the things I think about and notice, okay? I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. It's
No,
Oh
that's
man.
amazing. All right. So moving on. So Spawn turned 30 this year. It's been nearly 30 years since the introduction of Spawn. Late last year, we had introduction of some new titles that Todd McFarlane was teasing over the months. Um, but I guess my question is what's up with Spawn? Why all of a sudden? And secondly, what do we think about it? Manny, I know you're a massive fan. What does it mean for you to have these new titles coming out?
Oh man, I'm in heaven right now. Um, I would look. I would have bought all number ones just because it's Spawn. But
Hmm.
I have a feeling. Obviously, Todd McFarlane has been planning this for a long time.
Mm.
And I can see that he shows the creators for this series um carefully. Um,
Hmm.
and that's why it's succeeding right now. That's why it's being successful because my fear when all these titles were announced, um, I've been a Spawn fan since issue number one. Seriously, um, when Greg Capullo left,
Yeah.
I kind of fell off because I'm a follower of the art.
Hmm.
So I couldn't get into the other artists because he was too abstract. Let's say abstract. He was a more like
Hmm.
a true horror artist. Um,
Yeah.
and that was my fear. Like if he's gonna make all these titles, I hope that he realizes that fans want that type of artwork that you can. They want horror, but at the same time, you want to see Spawn. You want to see the
Yeah.
detail, and and he shows some incredible artists for this series. From Javi Fernandez, Steven Segovia, Brett Booth, all of them. I've been like Carlo Barbieri doing Spawn now. Oh my God, I'm in heaven. Every title has been amazing. The story works. Um, and he's only scratching the surface because there's so many characters that he can bring in.
Yeah.
Tremor and the Curse. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been a fan forever. I'm eating all this stuff. Um, and yeah, if he keeps going like he's going, he can this can keep on going for forever. As long as he wants to, and I'll keep buying them. I'll be buying them because they're that good. Seriously, they're that good. Um, but I'll let you guys tell me what y'all think.
Yeah. Rabbit, were you much of a Spawn fan? Did you read much Spawn over the years?
I was a Spawn fan. I got out of comics for a while, for a few years, but I was definitely there whenever it started, and I think I collected up until like issue 50, and before
Hmm.
I really stopped collecting comics book for a while. But whenever I came back, there was Spawn, and it never disappoints.
All right.
Mhm.
Hmm.
What I have to say about this whole Spawn universe is I'm shocked that it hasn't happened sooner.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, that is so true. I
Yeah.
mean, they did have some spin-off series like The Curse of the Spawn and
Yeah.
Sam and Twitch, but they were
I
only
love
miniseries.
Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
Brian
my
Michael
God,
Bendis
yeah.
was breakout. That was Brian Michael Bendis being known to the rest of the world. Marvel picked him up after that.
And actually
They-
Wood did the artwork.
They introduced so many characters in the Spawn series. It was like inevitable that they had to split off some titles, and
And Angela.
yeah, it was
Oh,
just
yeah.
so many great
Oh, yeah.
characters. Like I said, it was long overdue.
Right.
Long overdue, indeed it is. So I'll just go through the creators. I know you touched on them, Manny, but Kingspawn is written by Sean Lewis with art by Harvey Fernandez. Gunslinger, written by Todd McFarlane with art by Brett Booth. And The Scorched by Sean Lewis with art by Steven Segovia and Paula
Yeah.
Satira.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your thoughts, Tracy. What did you think of the Spawn universe as a whole?
I'm an epic fan.
You are?
Yes, I got into Spawn. I seen the movie, and I was like,
Oh, yes.
"There's comic books for this," and I went and I read,
Wow.
and I had a bit of a collection, and then I moved away and came back. And when I came back from being away, I started going to this comic fair where I met some interesting people.
Mhm.
And one of the days, this guy came in and he had a complete Spawn collection of trade paperbacks from issue 1 all the way up. So I went into my bank account and I bought them all.
Yeah.
And I restocked my Spawn comic collection, but I love it. I love everything about this. I love the character. I love the stories. When Todd McFarlane came out with all these, we're going to be doing a multiverse and an integrated multiverse, I was like, oh no, please don't get on that bandwagon. We already see it all the time. Blah 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 blah. And then Gunslinger was announced, and
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, is it going to be like American Vampire style, or is it going to be, what way is it going to be? And then a friend of mine who's an artist in Ireland is actually one of the artists who works on Gunslinger, Kevin Keane.
Which one?
Kevin Keane.
Okay.
Kevin Keane. Woo!
He is phenomenal. I have one of his original art pieces. I commissioned a couple of art pieces from him for friends. I have loads of his prints. He's amazing.
Oh my God.
But when he said he was doing it, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So when it came out, I was like, oh my God, I know who does this. Do you talk to Todd? And I read Gunslinger and I was like, do you know what? Yes, please. I will have more. Just feed it to me. Take my money. I don't care. Just take it and give me more. It's beautiful, especially like they're all great. They all have their own specific styles because of the story. Like King's is different because of the story. But for me, Gunslinger of this trio particularly is my personal favorite. Just because I love how it's drawn. I just love how he's drawn in it, and I love that he wears a hat. He's got a Stetson.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who couldn't love Spawn in a Stetson?
Yeah. The thing with Gunslinger as well, when you actually read the dialogue, he has that you can almost visualize that southern drawl when he talks.
Yeah.
I love
Look
that.
look how beautiful that page in itself is.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That third panel in is just art in itself from the previous page. It's just stunning.
Yeah.
There he is.
I love it.
There's
I
my
love
boy
it.
Kevin.
No, that's fantastic. I really enjoy it, especially with his relationship with Taylor. I hope that they continue as a duo. He's got that companion or that sidekick.
Yeah. It has like a body cop feel.
Yeah, he seems like a troubled kid, but
he found his sound for his Twitch.
Pretty much. I kind of liked Scorch. I love the feel of medieval Spawn, because medieval Spawn seems to be the logical one. He seems to be more logical than the Redeemer. I don't know if you guys saw that. Redeemer is more of a follower. He just does what he's told. But I like medieval and the way that he talks. Like, he has a bit of logic to that brain of his. He's like the voice.
Yeah, medieval is a
really
knight. Yeah, he's a knight, so he's the more righteous one.
Right.
He's a true hero of the group. The other ones are, she's a black ops, and Redeemer is an angel, but angels in this universe are not the angels we know. We talk about, we know. Yeah.
He's like the paladin from a D&D party. You know what I mean? If you've ever
Nah.
played D&D, he's the paladin.
yeah, exactly.
And if you haven't played D&D, I'll explain it another time on another podcast.
No, but I actually like Scorched a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of wish though that, and this is my opinion, I kind of wish Gunslinger wasn't in. I like him on his own.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of wish they had like a different character in place of Gunslinger, because I like Gunslinger to be a solo.
Yeah, I think the thing about Scorched is like it's his Avengers though, his group, and having your biggest well, I guess Spawn's the biggest, but right now Gunslinger seems to be the hottest. It's like having Wolverine out of the X-Men.
Yeah.
You want to have him there, and then you want to have his solo
I guess,
stuff.
yeah, that's
and
true.
I have a feeling I have a feeling that the Scorch is gonna be like a rotating cast,
right?
Because that Spawn is not in this issue, in the first issue, but he's gonna be there obviously. But there's also Haunt, which I was screaming when he finally was introduced. Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Not in this issue, but later on. And I was like, yeah! So he's
like, my boy is here.
Yeah.
And there's so much more that he can do. I mean, like if this is his Avengers, he could rotate characters out, maybe even kill off a few and then bring some in. I mean, there's so much that he can.
There's so many. Many.
This line that he's putting out is, I think, what everybody aspires to kind of do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen the third wave of the Spawn figures that he just released? I think overnight.
Yeah.
The new Haunt figure.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen the Haunt figure.
Yeah. You got to check it out, Manny. You'll be screaming at the screen.
I've been screaming at my wife trying to buy it.
I've said it before. I'm just going to come over and like go to Al's house and just rob it out his, because I know he'll get it, and I'll just be like, zoink, mine.
All mine.
That's the thing. Is like when I get my own. I currently live in a home, but when I get my own place, and it's like I take out all my collectibles, and I'm like, it will look like a child lives in my house, because I will have all of it. Like I'm gonna have a dedicated room for all my stuff. You know what I mean? And my Spawn figures and my big long boxes of bits.
Awesome.
Too many good collectibles coming out from McFarlane, though. He just does it so well.
Oh yeah,
very well. And it's kind of nice that the Spawn isn't actually been revived in his toy line, because it hasn't been a Spawn figure for a few years, until there was like the new the color tops, where it had like the non-articulated toys. You know, it's nice to see it Spawn, but now that we're getting much more.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's gonna be
can't
so
wait to get my Cygor.
It's gonna be so pretty, and I just love the way this is going, because, like you're saying, with having their like X-Men and Avengers style thing, they can always go as well in a Suicide Squad type thing with all the bad guys and do a spin-off of that. And can you imagine?
So much he can do.
Imagine how amazing it would be with some of the bad guys from the collective universe.
and also the thing is that it's really well written. Even because the artwork can only take you so much. If the story goes nowhere, then you're stuck with just pretty drawings. That's it. But just the way they're all coming in, and they all have their own motivations, and you can see the friction between the characters, and it works, man. It's a really well told story with amazing artwork. I mean, if you're not reading these books, you need to do yourself a favor and pick them up. Seriously.
Yeah, you're so right there. I think Sean Lewis has been given so much trust by McFarlane to provide, and he's providing amazing stories. Like, He's writing
Oh my
both
God.
Kingspawn as well as the Scorched.
Yeah.
Man, and King Spawn is the darkest of the. Spawn in itself is dark, but King Spawn, they came out guns blazing,
Yeah.
just dark. The story
Very, very dark.
revolves around killing children,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and
a
I'm
very
like,
gritty
holy
story.
crap!
Yeah.
I'm
Very
like,
gritty.
man, they're not holding back on this, and
Yeah.
Spawn, I think his trigger is when you hurt kids, he
Yes.
goes off the
Yeah.
hinges, and that's why they're doing it, because it's
Mhm.
Billy Kincaid who is the one that
Yes.
got him to go over the edge in issue number 5, back
Yeah.
Mhm.
way back in
Yeah.
1992.
As we
Yeah.
said
And
back in the day.
yeah, I'm telling you, I'm an OG. I'm a fan from the beginning. So yeah, he
Yeah.
is the one that got him to go over the edge, and that's what they're doing it. So I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Do yourself a favor, like Manny said, go out and check it out. I think they're in like just within the tens now. I think Kingspawn's up to issue number 7.
Mhm.
Right.
Scorch is up to issue number 4 and number 5, I think, for Gunslinger.
Gunslinger, yeah.
Yeah, so do yourself a favor and do check them out. Now we're going to move on to the next segment. This is quite exciting because one of our panelists is releasing his own Kickstarter. I know you touched on it before, Rabbit, but I want to leave it up to you now. So, whoopsie, beg your pardon. So, Cryptic Haze. Where did the title come up, Rabbit?
Cryptic Haze, I was thinking of a different title originally, and then I was like, what could kind of get a person thinking of solving a puzzle or something cryptic? And that's where cryptic
Mhm.
came in. And I was like, but I didn't want it just to be a puzzle. I wanted it to be a little bit harder. So if you were trying to solve a puzzle in like a ton of mist, and I was like, well, that's kind of Cryptic Haze. So like I said, this is a thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat till the end, and you just can't see where it's gonna go till all the pieces come together.
Amazing.
That's
Amazing.
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Manny, you got a question for Rabbit?
Um, I have questions, but I have a technical questions. I'll let Tracy ask a question
Okay.
first.
Okay. I want to know is what is the story behind the story? Where did it come from, and what do you want to achieve by this story? What are you
Well,
putting out there?
the main thing was I was trying to build a library. Whenever I put out PTSD and I put out Bushibu Circus, I had wrote a third script, and that was called Flame. And I kind of put it off to the side because I was talking to my friend one day, and they were having a tough time through a divorce and personal problems. And that's where this story kind of came from. And I was like, this is a different story than what I've written. So I wanted to challenge myself to kind of put it out there. And basically it's
I
about a
love that.
guy who's devastated from his divorce, and he doesn't know what to do, and then all of a sudden something just appears on TV and gives him an option to do something that was crazy, and he's like, can I really do this? Can I really control people's minds?
Yeah.
And then what would he do if he could control people's minds? And that's what it talks about, the actions and the consequences of it all.
Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah,
wow.
very
Interesting.
I did not
And
know about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so I was like, I wanted to do a homage to Batman's The Killing Joke, where in the Batman's The Killing Joke, it's like the Joker was trying to turn Commissioner Gordon by having one horrible day. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so it's like, what if this guy had such a horrible day, but was given an option to do something about it? I mean, would he take it to the extreme negative? Would he use it for positive? And what would be the consequences of anything he does?
I love stories like that. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
stories when somebody is given an option, because
Yeah.
then it gets you thinking, well, what would I do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was
I
like,
love
my
it.
friend who was
Love
going
it.
through this, I was like, what would he do?
Mm,
Did you ask him?
amazing.
Well, I mean, he's still my friend, and we still talk, so I know what he's doing currently.
Oh, okay, that's good.
9 times out of 10, if you get superpowers, you do some selfish stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's what I mean. As much as I want to think I'll be Superman, I'll probably
Right.
end up being mm, something worse.
How many pages are in this book? Is this a complete story, or is this a first issue of an ongoing story?
This is actually a 22-page book, and I want to make a 3 issue of it all together. They're all going to
Right.
be separate stories, but combined with certain aspects. It's kind of like attributed to the monkey's paw. If you ever heard that story where he had 3 wishes, well, I wanted to do three
Right.
different stories kind of thing along the
Ah,
same
okay.
lines.
From
So
the
Okay.
same character.
I can't exactly tell you who's
Okay.
going to be in the next issue, but I can tell
Spoiler.
you that there will be at least
Yeah.
one person in the next issue.
Cool.
So that really,
Cool.
so that means you get issue 1, you need to buy issue 2 and 3, because otherwise you won't know what's happening.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, they're kind of
Yeah.
standalone stories, but they are connected with a certain person throughout it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now
Right.
that you've said that, we know,
Interesting.
so we're going to have to get the other 2.
Yeah. All right.
So,
So
Manny, you got your question yet?
yeah. Let me. I want to ask because I've never done a Kickstarter.
Sure.
And I'm sure there's people listening that haven't done a Kickstarter. Maybe they want to do a
100%.
Kickstarter. How do when you have all those tiers that you have in the Kickstarter itself, how do you fulfill them, and or do you have a team that's helping you? Is it through another company, or how does that work?
Well, me being brand new, I've only done 2 before this, and I fulfilled them myself. Well, whenever I went into this one, I had a little more knowledge, so I decided, I was only going to do 4 covers because the last one I did 6, and it was a little bit harder to fulfill, even though I did.
Right.
So I have 4 covers, including a Kickstarter exclusive. Now that's a little bit difficult whenever you decide to do that because you have to hire another artist per cover. But it was like building the tiers is a lot of fun, and whenever you're asking people about it, it really depends on what you have as a products. And on mine, I got trading not trading cards, mini prints, and foil covers. I've got a blacklight tapestry on this one, which is unique
Really?
that I haven't done. Yeah, a blacklight tapestry of
Wow.
that other cover, not this one, but the one with all the blue and green on it. That's
Yeah.
the blacklight tapestry I have. That one right there. And then,
That's dope.
like I
That's
said,
dope.
it really depends on how many
So
covers you have and how many extras you have on what tiers you're going to build. I also built a retail tier because on my last Kickstarter, I actually had one retailer buy a huge number. But fulfilling it, it's not that hard as long as you maintain your lists and make sure you know how many copies you're going to print afterwards. You make sure you have a goal that's going to cover all the expenses. And that's really the main thing. Having fun with the tiers and making sure you put something out there that people are going to jump at whenever they see. We've got a bookmarker for the stretch goals, which is something unique to this Kickstarter for me. But like I said, the black light tapestry is unique, and then I've got one foil cover on this one and a Kickstarter exclusive cover.
yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
Nice.
that's some cool
Rabbit, you want to
incentives.
shout out your creative team?
Yeah, so I'm the writer and creator. My illustrator it did all the work inside, the lines, the colors, the inks. Is Santa Spina. He is amazing. He also did my PTSD book as well. Then I've got 4 covers. That's Jeff Muth on that first one, which is all the colored version. This one
Mhm.
showing right now. The other one, that one is Sam Espina, the interior artist, because I believe interior artists should do at least one cover, so you
Of
kind of
course.
see what's inside. My third cover was by Aaron Williamson, and that's a cover to the homage to Memento. And
Uh-huh.
Oh,
this
Uh-huh.
right here is actually my 4th cover, and that's my Kickstarter exclusive by Brian Clegg.
Okay.
Very
nice.
nice.
So
And
the artwork, the one that the interior artist did, the cover, is
he
that
did
how the
the
book look? Yeah,
he did
that
that
one right
cover
there,
art. Yeah.
right?
And
Is that how the book looks inside?
yeah, that's pretty much how it is. There's also interior pages on the Kickstarter, so you can kind of see 5 different pages from that
Damn.
art. We're also including original art from Sam Spina because his art is so beautiful. I did also want to take a shout out to my editors because I do have 3 editors on there, including Chuck Panay and also Elisa Delgado and Brian Delgado. And of course, my 2 teams on there, Charter Comics and Ink Marketing.
Awesome.
No, fantastic.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, Rowdy, I hope it does great because PTSD was amazing. So
Thank you.
I could just see this.
Yeah,
I'm watching your progress with a lot of enthusiasm because I need to learn from you. I haven't done a Kickstarter, so maybe in the
Well,
future I'll do an anthology or something.
I'd be glad to help. I love doing the Kickstarters. I did the video for this one. Me and my son actually did it. So if you ever go to that Kickstarter and watch that video, that's me and my son working together. He actually did about 6 or 7 takes to do the voiceover,
hmm. Oh wow,
and he was loving every minute of it. So
That's awesome.
Get the fam
that is
involved.
so
We all
great.
want the family helping.
yeah, it's been great. We're real close to that goal. We're about $50 away the last I checked, and we're just trying to make it as far as we can.
Fantastic. That's my question. Do you
That's
guys have any
awesome.
questions for Rabbit?
Um,
No,
where would you like to go after you've done this and this 3 series? What's the next? What's the
Well,
next thing for you? And your goals?
well, if I have the finances, I'm gonna go in 1 or 2 different directions. I've got this one script that I love, and I'm dying to make because I actually wrote it for this artist. These two that he did for me, Cryptic Haze and PTSD, were scripts that I had before I met him, and so whenever I started seeing his work and talking to him and getting used to him, I wrote a script specifically for him that I would have never wrote. And I think it's amazing. It contains demons versus gargoyles and a unique aspect to it. And I love it to death. But considering finances, I might actually just jump back to Bushibu 2 and do
Okay.
that next.
right.
So it really depends on finances, but I'm hoping to get all of them done soon. I've also got 2 other scripts that I'm dying to get to, including a boxing
Hmm.
script that's very
Hmm.
unique.
A what? I'm sorry. A what?
A boxing,
The
you
sport?
know, like yeah, yeah. 'Cause
Oh,
I was sitting
nice.
down one day and I was like, why don't you see many boxing comics? And then I was watching Marvel. I think it was one of the ones where Doctor Strange got hit and his spirit came out, and I was like, what if you mix that with boxing? And
Oh
where the
God.
spirit came out while he's getting hit and talking to him and telling him what he should have been doing,
Oh wow.
along with a few other aspects that I want to make it unique. But again, it all depends on finances where I go from here. But I'm
Cool.
thinking it's going to be Bushibu too.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Nice.
Cool.
And in going back to Cryptic Haze, have you finished the other 2 scripts, or are they still in the works as well?
I finished the script for issue 2. I have
Mhm.
the thoughts and kind of the outline for issue 3, but I really didn't want to jump ahead with Bushibu Circus Mysteries. I wrote script 1 and 2 right away together, and I happened to write script 3 and 4. But it's kind of one of those things I just don't want to get it too ahead of myself.
Of
Hmm.
course.
So I mean, I love writing scripts. I wrote the Flame script, which I never got to get done. But I mean, one day I hope I do because that was my passion project before the idea of PTSD hit me. And my editor loved the
Okay.
uniqueness of my Flame script. But the thing about it was, whenever I showed him PTSD, we both agreed that it was miles ahead of Flame.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a matter of interest, would you ever consider writing novels if you've got so many scripts out there that you could actually stretch out and make it into a novel instead of a comic book?
I would love to write novels. As a matter of fact, whenever I first started Bushibu, it was going to be a novel kind of thing. But
Yeah.
me, like a lot of other people, I do suffer from dyslexia. And so whenever I got to about page 50, it was like
Yeah.
too hard to do. So
Too short.
I was thinking about making chapter books, but at the time I was introducing my kids to comic books, and I was like, Bushibu Circus would be great
Make
for a
a
comic
lot
book.
more sense.
And my
Yeah.
kids loved that idea, and we just kind of ran with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Oh, team
Well, I mean,
dyslexia.
Yes. I mean, I think we're all suffer in one way or another. No, I do too, but not confirmed. But look, look, I wish you all the best, Rabbit. I wish you nothing but the best when it comes to Cryptic Haze, and then we look forward to talking to you again about issue number 2 or whatever the new project is that comes out from you.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
No doubt.
No worries at all.
Guys, get onto it and make sure you get to this Kickstarter, because you won't be disappointed when you read his stuff. I
No,
wasn't.
definitely not. And I mean, look, for $8, you get the PDF form to read all 3 of the amazing books. For $6, you just get Cryptic Haze alone, but for an extra $2, I mean, wow,
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
it's crazy. You'd be crazy not to. And $15, we get all 3 of the amazing covers.
Mhm.
Or actually 4 covers, I beg your pardon. For $15 each. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Think Indie Podcast. Leave your comments below if you do enjoy our content. Any suggestions, any ideas, please feel free to let us know. But as far as I'm concerned, we are done. Any final words, guys?
Yes, I want to say Buy Indie Comics Day returns on October 1st,
Yes.
2022. So reach out to your local comic shops and let's get the party started early.
Yeah, for sure. Also, any questions? If you want Q&As with us, throw us questions, because we will answer them, no matter what they are. And I
True.
think it's interesting as well, because we all are creators, that if you do have questions like, I've never had a Kickstarter, or how do I get around this, send it to us. If we can't answer it, we sure do have friends that can.
Yeah, true.
Indeed.
True.
And everybody has tough times. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of your family and others. Prayers to everybody, and thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up now, and thank you for watching Think Indie Podcast, and see you again next time.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.com. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.